All right, let's dive in. This time, we're tackling Turkey in World War II.
It's a fascinating one, for sure.
It's way more complicated than just picking a side, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We've got a stack of your sources here, and we're going to break it all down.
Yeah.
Turkey's Neutrality Act, how it impacted England's fight.
Right?
We'll even uncover some instances where Turkey just straight up refused to help England
Yes.
and dive into the reasons why.
It really is a fascinating case study. Imagine this. The whole world is at war.
Yeah.
And here's Turkey
Right?
just playing this delicate game
Wow.
between the Allies
Mm-hmm.
and the Axis.
Yeah.
One of the most pivotal elements of this whole balancing act, I think, was the control of the straits.
Okay, the
The
strait.
Dardanelles and the Bosporus Straits.
Okay.
The only sea route between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean.
So these straits were like a major choke point for supplies, especially for the Soviets.
Yeah, especially for the Soviets.
Who were desperate for anything, really.
Oh, absolutely. Desperate for anything they could get to fight the Nazis.
Yeah.
Both the UK and the USSR, they were practically begging Turkey
Oh, wow.
to open up those straits.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been, just a huge advantage for the Allies
Oh, yeah.
to have that direct supply line
Yeah.
to their Soviet allies.
Mm-hmm.
But Turkey, even though they had an alliance with Britain and France, refused.
Wow. So what was the thinking there?
Well, you have to remember, this is right after World War I, which had, devastating consequences for the Ottoman Empire,
Yeah.
from which modern Turkey emerged.
Right.
President İnönü, he was absolutely determined
Yeah.
to rebuild and maintain national stability above all else.
Right. So getting involved was just seen as a huge risk,
Huge risk.
especially with, Soviet Union also posing a potential threat.
Oh, absolutely.
Let-
They
let-
had their
let-
own ambitions
Yeah.
in the area.
Right.
And, a newly powerful Turkey would not have been in their best interests.
So it was this complicated calculation
Yes.
weighing upsetting Germany against provoking the Soviets
Exactly.
on top of just generally wanting to stay out of it.
Yeah, just stay out of the fighting in general.
Yeah.
And then, on top of all this geopolitical chess game, there's the economic aspect.
Right.
Turkey wasn't completely isolated during the war.
Okay.
They were trading
Mm-hmm.
with both sides,
With both.
including Germany.
Hang on, trading with the enemy.
Yeah.
What was England's reaction to that?
You can imagine the frustration.
I bet.
Turkey was selling Germany vital materials.
Oh, wow.
Things like chromium,
Okay.
which is, essential for steel production.
Right. So every ounce of chromium shipped to Germany is potentially.
Another tank.
Yeah.
Another weapon they could use against England and the Allies.
It seems almost counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Helping the enemy while trying to remain neutral.
Yes.
What was Turkey's logic in all this?
It was this precarious balancing act,
Yeah.
driven by economic pragmatism, really. And Turkey, like any nation, had its own interests.
Right. Yeah.
They needed resources.
Mm-hmm.
They needed economic stability.
Yeah.
And this wartime trade provided that, at least for a while.
Okay.
It was a high-risk strategy, of course,
Yeah, I bet.
trying to extract benefits from both sides without fully committing to either.
So it definitely adds a whole new dimension to their neutrality.
It does.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So while they were selling goods to Germany, did Turkey ever offer any sort of military support to England?
No. They consistently refused to send troops
Okay.
or provide any direct military support,
Okay.
despite the, numerous requests from the UK.
I can imagine that must have been a major source of tension
Oh, yeah.
between the two countries.
Absolutely.
Our sources mentioned quite a few key battles where Turkish involvement could have potentially shifted the balance for England.
Oh, yeah.
North Africa, the Balkans, even the Mediterranean, where Turkey's strategic position could have been a game changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From England's perspective, Turkey seemed to be sitting on the sidelines
Right.
while the Allies were fighting for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you have to consider İnönü's focus
Yeah.
on national self-preservation.
Right.
He saw any direct military involvement as a potential catastrophe,
Yeah.
risking invasion by either Germany or the Soviets.
It's a stark contrast to England's war effort,
Oh, yeah?
which was just, deeply intertwined
Absolutely.
with their empire, their
Yeah.
alliances across Europe.
Yeah.
And this all culminated in that surprising decision
Yes.
to declare war on Germany in 1945.
Right.
Just months before the war ended.
Literally just months.
What was the point of that? It was way too late to make any sort of difference on the battlefield.
That's right. The timing was peculiar.
Yeah.
It was largely a symbolic move, aimed at positioning Turkey favorably with the soon-to-be victors.
Okay.
Remember, the post-war world was about to be reshaped.
Yeah.
And Turkey wanted to be.
Right.
On the right side of the negotiating table. They needed to secure their place in the new global order.
Especially with, the looming threat of the Soviet Union.
Especially with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So a last-minute attempt to curry favor with the winning side, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps.
It really makes you wonder about the true motivations
It does.
behind their neutrality throughout the war.
It really does.
Was it purely about survival, or
Right.
were there other factors at play?
Well, it's a complex question.
Yeah.
And to really fully grasp Turkey's actions, I think we need to go deeper.
Okay.
There's a whole hidden layer to this story. Espionage.
Oh, wow.
While publicly maintaining neutrality, Turkey became this hotbed of secret activity, with both Allied and Axis spies operating right under their noses.
Okay, now things are getting really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Spies, secret missions. This is like stepping into a whole different world.
It is. Yeah, it's a side of World War II that's often, shrouded in secrecy.
Right.
But it played, I think, a significant role in shaping Turkey's fate.
Yeah.
Imagine this.
Okay.
While publicly proclaiming neutrality, Turkey was secretly allowing both Allied and Axis spy agencies
Wow.
to operate within its borders.
It sounds like Turkey was playing a dangerous game.
It was a delicate balancing act,
Yeah.
to be sure.
Were they actively playing both sides or just trying to, manage the chaos?
Well, on one hand, they wanted to avoid provoking either of the major powers.
Right.
But on the other hand, they couldn't completely ignore the intelligence
Yeah.
that was being gathered
Right.
on their soil.
Yeah.
They had to keep a close eye on these spy networks
Right.
to make sure that they didn't destabilize the country or threaten Turkish interests.
So what were some of the specific goals of these agencies? What kind of information were they after?
Well, for the Allies, British intelligence agencies,
Okay.
like MI6 and the SOE, they were particularly interested in tracking German movements in the region.
Okay.
They were trying to anticipate German plans
Right.
in the Balkans and the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
as well as any potential threats to British territories or supply lines.
That makes sense. I mean, the Mediterranean was like a crucial theater of war for the British, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And Turkey's right in the heart of it all.
Right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the Germans?
Yeah. What were their spies up to?
Well, the Germans, they were focused on countering Allied efforts and protecting their own interests in the region.
Okay.
Remember, Turkey was a major supplier of raw materials like chromium
Right. Right.
to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a vested interest
Yeah.
in ensuring those trade routes remained open.
Mm.
Their spies were also tasked with infiltrating Allied networks, spreading disinformation, and perhaps even influencing Turkish officials.
So it was like a classic spy versus spy scenario,
Was.
with each side trying to outwit and outmaneuver the other.
Absolutely.
Did this ever erupt into open conflict within Turkey?
There were definitely tensions, rivalries,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, the espionage war remained largely covert.
Okay.
Both sides understood that open conflict on Turkish soil
Right.
would jeopardize Turkey's neutrality
Yeah.
and could have unpredictable consequences.
It sounds incredibly risky,
It was.
allowing all these foreign agents to operate
Yeah.
within your borders.
Yeah.
Did Turkey ever try to crack down on these spy networks?
Well, they did monitor the situation very closely and occasionally intervened
Mm-hmm.
when things got, too heated
Yeah.
or when their own interests were threatened.
Right.
But they also recognized the value of the intelligence they were gathering.
Okay.
By allowing these agencies to operate, Turkey had access to information from both sides,
Wow.
which gave them this unique perspective on the unfolding war.
It's amazing how much was happening beneath the surface of Turkey's, official neutrality.
It is.
It adds a whole new level of intrigue to their story.
Oh, yeah.
Were there any particularly, famous cases of espionage that took place in Turkey during this period?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
There's the case of Ilyasa Bosna,
Okay.
codenamed Cicero,
Cicero, okay.
who worked as a valet for the British ambassador in Ankara.
Wow.
He managed to photograph top-secret documents and sell them to the Germans.
Oh my God.
for a small fortune in 1943.
Wow.
It was one of the most significant intelligence breaches of the war.
Okay.
And then there's also the story of the German spy network in Istanbul,
Mm-hmm.
codenamed Operation Orient,
Operation Orient. Okay.
which attempted to sabotage Allied shipping
Mm-hmm.
and disrupt British influence in the region.
These stories sound like something straight out of a spy thriller.
They do.
It makes you wonder how much of an impact these covert operations had on the, course of the war.
Well, it's difficult to measure the precise impact,
Yeah.
but there's no doubt that espionage played a significant role.
Right. In shaping events.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence gathered in Turkey influenced Allied strategic planning,
Okay.
helped uncover German operations,
Mm.
and even contributed to the success of key military campaigns.
So while officially neutral, Turkey was, deeply enmeshed in the world of wartime espionage.
They were.
Yeah.
Deeply.
What does this tell us about Turkey's, overall relationship with England during this period?
It was a complex relationship, fraught with tension and mistrust.
Yeah, that.
England was understandably frustrated
Yeah.
by Turkey's refusal to join the war effort
Mm-hmm.
and their willingness to trade with the enemy.
Right.
But they also recognized Turkey's strategic importance and the value of their intelligence cooperation.
It sounds like a classic case of real politics, right?
It was.
With both countries trying to, balance their ideals with their pragmatic interests.
Exactly.
How did this relationship evolve in the aftermath of the war?
Well, Turkey's careful maneuvering during the war.
Had some, I think, surprising consequences.
Okay.
As the dust settled
Mm.
and the Cold War emerged,
Yeah.
Turkey suddenly found itself in a, new strategic landscape.
Okay.
They were no longer seen as this hesitant bystander,
Right.
but rather as this, crucial bulwark against the growing Soviet threat.
So their wartime neutrality, which had frustrated England at times, actually positioned them perfectly
Perfectly.
for this new global conflict.
Exactly. Their strong military,
Yeah.
their strategic location
Right.
on the border of the Soviet Union,
Mm-hmm.
and their experience navigating between great powers
Right.
made them a valuable asset to the West.
It's quite a twist.
It is.
By avoiding direct involvement in World War II, they inadvertently set themselves up to become a key player in the next global conflict.
It's a fascinating example of how historical events can have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And it highlights, I think, the adaptability
Mm-hmm.
of nations,
Yeah.
their ability to, adjust to changing circumstances
Mhm.
and seize new opportunities.
So, in the grand scheme of things, did Turkey benefit from staying out of World War II?
Well, it's a complex question,
Yeah.
and historians continue to debate
Right.
the long-term consequences of Turkey's neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, they avoided the devastation and the loss of life.
Mm-hmm.
That ravaged much of Europe.
Yeah.
They emerged from the war
Mm-hmm.
with their economy and their infrastructure relatively intact.
Okay.
But on the other hand, some argue that their decision to stay neutral prolonged the war
Right.
and contributed to the suffering of others.
Yeah, it's a reminder that, historical decisions often involve
Hmm.
difficult trade-offs
Oh, do?
and moral dilemmas.
Yeah.
There's no, easy answer.
No.
And evaluating the past requires, a nuanced understanding of the context and
Yeah.
the, competing interests at play.
Exactly.
And as the Cold War ramped up, Turkey's, newfound strategic importance led to a significant shift
Mm-hmm.
in their relationship with England.
Yes, the old tensions
Okay.
and frustrations
Right.
gradually faded
Mm-hmm.
as both countries recognized their shared interest
Okay.
in containing Soviet expansionism.
So the Cold War kind of acted as a reset button,
In many ways, yes.
forging a new alliance based on, shared threats
Mm-hmm.
and strategic goals.
Turkey joined NATO in 1952,
Okay.
solidifying their position as a Western ally.
Mm-hmm.
This alliance brought significant benefits, including economic and military aid
Yeah.
from the United States,
Mm-hmm.
as well as a voice in international affairs.
Right.
Their relationship with England also deepened,
Okay.
with both countries cooperating closely within NATO, sharing intelligence, and conducting joint military exercises.
It's remarkable how quickly their relationship transformed from one of, tension and mistrust
It is.
to one of, close partnerships.
It's a testament to the, fluid nature of international relations. the way that shifting alliances and shared threats can reshape the geopolitical landscape.
So Turkey went from walking a tightrope of neutrality to becoming, a key player in the Western alliance. It makes you wonder how these wartime experiences shaped Turkey's, national identity
It does.
and their role in the world.
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Turkey's experience in World War II undoubtedly influenced their worldview and their approach to foreign policy in the decades that followed.
Yeah.
Their careful maneuvering during the war, their decision to prioritize national self-preservation
Right.
above all else, shaped their understanding
Yeah.
of power dynamics and the importance of strategic autonomy.
It sounds like they learned some valuable lessons about navigating, the complexities of international relations.
They did.
Lessons that, continue to inform their actions today.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that history is not just, a collection of past events,
Yeah.
but a living force
Yeah.
that shapes the present and the future.
So we've traced Turkey's journey from, cautious neutrality to key Cold War ally. But there's one final thread we need to unravel here.
Okay.
The long-term impact of these experiences on their relationship with England.
It's a fascinating aspect of their shared history. A story of, evolving interests,
Yeah.
shifting alliances, and the enduring power of diplomacy.
Let's delve into that. How did the wartime tensions and the, subsequent Cold War partnership shape the relationship between these two nations in the long run?
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how these two countries, at odds during World War II, ended up as partners in the Cold War. Did that shared experience, both the friction and the later cooperation, ultimately strengthen or weaken the long-term relationship between Turkey and England?
What's interesting, those wartime tensions, particularly England's frustration with Turkey's neutrality, they didn't seem to linger too deeply into the Cold War period.
Right. The threat of the Soviet Union really kind of overshadowed those past disagreements.
Okay.
The focus shifted towards, shared goal,
Yeah.
containing Soviet influence.
Right.
And that common purpose, I think, acted as a powerful catalyst for rebuilding trust and forging a new kind of partnership.
So the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, really came into play here.
It did, yeah.
But beyond just a shared enemy, was there a genuine sense of, mutual respect and understanding that developed between these two nations?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
As they collaborated within NATO, they gained a deeper appreciation, I think, for each other's strengths and perspectives. England recognized Turkey's vital role as this frontline state, guarding the southeastern flank of NATO.
Right.
Turkey, in turn, benefited from England's diplomatic experience and military expertise.
Okay.
There were still differences, of course,
Yeah.
but they learned to navigate those differences through dialogue and compromise.
So it was a pragmatic partnership, but also one built on this, growing foundation of mutual respect and understanding.
Absolutely.
Did this partnership extend beyond just, military cooperation?
Oh, yeah.
Did it spill over into other areas like, economics and culture?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The Cold War partnership really paved the way for stronger economic ties. Trade between the two countries increased,
Okay.
and British companies invested in Turkey's developing industries.
Right.
There was also a growing cultural exchange with, more students, artists, and tourists flowing between the two countries.
Okay.
It wasn't always, smooth sailing, of course.
Right.
There were disagreements and diplomatic hiccups along the way,
Yeah.
particularly regarding Cyprus
Right.
and Turkey's relationship with the European Union. But the underlying foundation of the relationship remained strong.
It's a testament to the resilience of their bond that even, these complex and sensitive issues didn't derail the overall partnership.
Yeah.
It seems like Turkey's experience in World War II, even the difficult parts, played a crucial role in shaping their long-term relationship with England.
I think so, yeah. It's a story that highlights the paradoxical nature of history.
Right.
How events that initially seem divisive can ultimately lay the groundwork for, lasting cooperation.
It's a fascinating reminder that international relations are rarely static or predictable. They're constantly evolving, right?
They are.
Shaped by, changing circumstances, shifting power dynamics, and the, enduring human capacity for both conflict and cooperation.
Absolutely.
And as we look back on Turkey's journey through World War II and the Cold War, we gain, I think, valuable insights into the complexities of neutrality, the evolving nature of alliances, and the enduring power of shared interests in shaping the course of history.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has been a real journey.
It has.
Uncovering so many layers of, history, intrigue, and diplomacy. From navigating a precarious neutrality to forging a vital alliance. Turkey's story is a testament to their, strategic resilience and adaptability on the world stage.
It really is. It's a reminder that history is not just, a collection of facts and dates,
Right.
but a tapestry of human choices, actions, and consequences woven together to create the world we live in today.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the, key takeaway you'd like to leave our listener with? What should they be reflecting on as they continue to, explore history and current events?
I think the most important takeaway is the importance of perspective.
Okay.
Looking at historical events through, multiple lenses helps us understand the complexities and nuances that shape the past and continue to influence the present. Whether it's understanding the motivations behind a nation's actions, the delicate balance of diplomacy, or the impact of individual choices on the course of history. Considering different viewpoints, I think, allows for this richer, more complete understanding of the world around us.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Turkey's remarkable journey through World War II and beyond.
It's been a pleasure.
We've explored their calculated neutrality, their foray into the world of espionage, their pivotal role in the Cold War, and the evolution of their relationship with England. It's been a fascinating exploration of history, strategy, and the enduring power of human connection in shaping the world we live in.